Welcome to Outlaw Creations.
DIY lanterns. xTool metal fab cutting steel.
Okay, here we are in xTool Studio. This is basically your first step to making this lantern. Now you could take this file. This file's free. I'll give it to anybody that wants it. I drew this in Vectric VCarve. It's my wood CNC software, but I'm really familiar with drawing with it. So this drawing is the lanterns, and basically I did 2 of these, and I cut it out of a 2 foot by 2 foot 2mm sheet of steel. Now if you come over here, I'll walk you through the little steps in xTool Studio. So basically I import my whole drawing, and you can change the size in here. And I think it's important to verify your sizes and stuff before you cut them all out. Like I tried to make it as big as possible on a 2 foot by 2 foot sheet, and I ended up about 5.5 or 6 inches, I believe. I'll have to double check that. So right over here, I'm gonna go to cutting with fixture. We'll highlight that. We're gonna go material. We're gonna go 2mm carbon steel. Apply. Got it. It's pretty, I like the way, it kind of walks you through, and it tells you, you're cutting 2mm steel. You can't be using your air compressor. You can't be using argon or nitrogen. You need to use oxygen. So you confirm that. That tells you what nozzle to use, and you can't use these other ones. You need to use what they tell you. Now, this calls for a 1mm double layer nozzle, confirm. Now, one thing that I have done in my settings is I made a change to my settings. And basically, I left everything, like if you see all these settings down here, I left all those the same. However, because I'm at a +2, like my laser, when I first set it up, it said to set it up at +2 because that's where I'm at. When I go to process, it tells you right here, this green circle, to set your focus position at -3. Now in my case, I bump it up 1. So I bump it to -4, and it seems to work good for me. Now we'll take this, now like I said, you're welcome to this drawing. But this is the first step in creating this really amazing lantern. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over to the xTool CNC, and we will cut this out. Once I get all the pieces cut on the laser, I just go through and clean them up with the grinder, and then I'm using a little magnetic triangle holder to basically keep them square and tack them into place, and that works actually pretty good. I'm using a Hobart welder. This is just a little 110 Hobart welder, and I'm using a 75-25 argon mixture, I believe, and that works pretty good. Right, basically, it's a little tedious, but they go together really nice, and basically I'm, having the little work table now is so much nicer for, if I need to hold something or just being able to weld. Having a welding table really has helped. Now right here, I'm welding I'm tacking the second one together, and I'm basically cleaning up all the sides first, and then I just do the same thing, use the magnetic thing. Now I started using this little flashlight. It's a magnetic flashlight, and basically just to help me see. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a couple more lights, or at least one nice light to put above this welding table, because there's no light directly above this welding table, and it's a little hard for me to see. I'm getting older and my eyesight's not quite as great as it used to be. But having that little magnetic flashlight does help. And right here, the removable bottoms, I'm basically bending the little sides for them, and then I'll need to drill holes in them and tap the screws. And then, of course, once I get them all tacked together, I got the tops tacked on and all the sides tacked, I needed to go through and fully weld them. And that was, I would say that's kind of a pain in the ass. But once you get your rhythm, I'm sitting on a stool, I got the little flashlight there so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And you just kind of look at it every once in a while and make sure your line's not, moving off to one side or the other, because you're basically welding sheet metal together. They're pretty thin pieces of metal. Once I go through and get them fully welded, it was time for grinding, and grinding was a tedious task. It actually took me a little while to get these things ground up really nice for powder coating, and they did come out nice, but it did take a little time grinding them. And right here I have one more thing to weld, and you'll see I've got a 1-inch pipe there and a 1-inch coupling that I've cut in half, a steel coupling. And basically I've grind down this coupling and try to balance this pole in the center of this bottom plate so that it's going to sit up perfectly straight. And then when I screw it onto my fence posts, because my fence posts on my big gate that I built, I've got some 1-inch nipples sticking out. So these lanterns are going to screw right onto the top of that. And that actually went pretty good. The cast steel is a little weird to weld, but it did weld, and I think it'll powder coat okay. And here you can see them all done, grinded, pretty much ready for the powder coater. There's a few little things that we need to do, but for the most part, these are ready to go. Okay, these lanterns are pretty much ready to go to the powder coater. Little cleanup, but for the most part, all the grinding and sanding is done. They're pretty much ready to be powder coated. The one thing I want to do before I send these to the powder coater is I want to test fit the solar tops, and also I got some acrylic plastic that I'm going to be putting on the inside of here. So I basically want to assemble them like as if they were going on to the gates. And once I get them assembled, make sure the screws, everything fit, then I'll feel pretty good about sending them off to the powder coater. So let's finish up those last steps, and then we'll get it over to the powder coater. Okay, this is some 1/8-inch white acrylic that I just bought off of Amazon, and I'm basically just cutting these in half and then sizing them to fit into the lanterns. And I'm hopeful that the light will shine through bright enough. My little solar tops that I bought, you don't really know when you order those things how bright they're going to be. But I am hopeful that it'll be bright enough. And right here I got them all cut, and I'm just basically test fitting them in there. I had to trim a couple of them. 2 of them were wide, and then 2 of them were a little bit narrower. But once I get them all pre-fit in there, then I basically put this bottom in and get it in there really nice, and it actually fit nice and tight, which was nice. And then basically what I needed to do was once I fit it in there, I had already pre-drilled some holes in the lantern itself, but I didn't want to drill through these bases until I had the acrylic in there. So once I had the acrylic all ready to go, I basically got some self-tapping screws and a drill bit, and I just pre-drill all these lanterns. And there's basically just 4 holes in each one, and I pre-drill it and then put the set screw in and make sure everything's staying together really nice. I am curious how these are gonna look when I turn off the lights in here. Once I get them both assembled, how they look. This was kind of a fun project, and yeah, let me know how you like it in the comments. And as soon as I get these last screws in here, we'll turn off the lights and see how they look. Right here, I turn off the lights, but I had to actually stand behind them because I was getting light from my window in the back. But here they are over in a darker spot, a little better view, and you can kind of see all around them really nice. I think they're gonna really turn out nice. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living.